virtual. Yeah, here we are.
Here we are.
I love it. Hello, David Gordon. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Julie Halston. Thank you for talking to me.
I like talking to you.
It's Wednesday, June 17th. I've been doing this for like 2 months now, and I don't know where the time has gone, having not gotten off my couch since March.
It's so crazy. People say, "How are you doing during this terrible, time?" And on one level, I go, "Well, it's a nightmare." And then on another level, I've never been busier.
Same.
Yeah, I've never been busier, and I've never learned more about lighting in my life.
What's your setup? Do you have one of the Ring?
I have a ring light. I have a light with material over it, to soften because David, I have not had my Botox in like 5.5 months, and I'm going crazy. But I actually, in the next 3 to 4 weeks, I am getting Botox. And basically what I'm going to tell my doctor is I want, how Frozen has closed on Broadway? I want to be frozen. Okay. People go don't you care about moving your face a little? No, I want to be frozen. And I don't care if you don't know how I feel, because I'll tell you how I feel. I don't care. So I'm
very. We're reopening for phase 2 on Monday. I just heard the governor say. So it looks like you'll be able to do that sooner rather than later.
Inject.
Does it hurt?
No. I mean, it's like a little pinprick. And
right.
You know what? A little pinprick to make this go away is so worth it. Again, I want to be frozen. If I could have my way,
So you're doing a streaming show now yourself. You're doing a thing called Virtual Halston.
Yes, we do it every Friday at 5 p.m. It's a live stream event. Jim Caruso is my producer and my editor. He's amazing. And Ruby Lochnar, who is his technical director for his cast party, is also my technical director. And she's young and beautiful and hilarious and witty. And, I just hate her. I always talk about how great she is. And then I just go, goodbye, Ruby. Because, enough of her.
Right.
She's just too cute. But we're having the time of our lives. And this was an idea that Jim Caruso really came up with. He called me one day out of the blue and said, look, I'm doing Cast Party. We're getting a lot of traction on it. If anyone should be talking to people and doing funny things, it's you. And David, I am like the most unambitious person in the world. Like I'm the kind of person who, I come up with these great ideas at 4 a.m. and I go,
I know. Because once you come up with it, you realize you have to do it.
You got to do it. And it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And Jim made me an offer I couldn't refuse. He basically said, Julie, I'll produce it. And when somebody says, I'm going to help you do something, you're an idiot if you don't take them up on it.
So you can just be the talking head.
You be the talking head. But now, now, David, I actually do work at it because I'm so fascinated by the guests I have. Like, for example, Friday, Santino Fontana, who, of course, I just did Tootsie with, is going to be my guest. And, Santino is such a chameleon. He's had such a varied and fascinating career. Audio books and musicals and plays. And he's just unbelievably talented. And he's a very opinionated guy. So I write the scripts now. Mm-hmm. And that takes quite a bit of time, and we put a lot of graphics into it now. We put a lot of pictures in, and I always have an affirmation, usually from Joan Crawford.
Yeah, well, better.
Yeah, better. Because who better than an alcoholic monster?
Right.
To start us on our week.
Aren't we all in quarantine?
At this point, this was a sad moment when I was talking to one of the ensemble members of Tootsie on the phone. And I love that cast so much. And I said, oh, God, everyone's drinking so much, paging Betty Ford. And he said, who's Betty Ford? David, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I didn't even say Betty Page. I said Betty Ford. She was the first lady of our country. Didn't matter. Anyway, but I have such great guests. They're so interesting that, of course, I want to actually have a script where I want to ask them really interesting questions. And then Jim is so good. He always comes up with funny topics for us to start the show with.
Yeah.
And we have great fun graphics. And, you know, when you're dealing with interesting people, you know, like Jim, I'll put myself in that category. Sure. We have things to talk about.
I know. That's why I love doing this. And I've been calling on a lot of people as I've done this who don't really have any projects going on, just so we could talk about careers, their lives. Because I find that so much more interesting than, you know, tell me about blah, blah, blah TV show that you're working on.
Yes. And here's the other thing, and maybe I'm telling tales out of school, but maybe I shouldn't be talking about it, but I'm also doing a writing project with the wonderful Rich Greenberg and the wonderful Maddie Corman.
Oh, I love Maddie.
I mean, they're both amazing human beings.
Yeah, what are you working
on? Both fabulous writers.
Maddie's like the bravest person that I tangentially know. I
saw the show 3 times.
Yeah.
Absolutely Brave was, yeah. And she's also a great woman.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say that she was so helpful to me when, after my husband passed away and putting the memorial service together, which was really incredible. Actually, Nathan Lane still stops me. Like, I love dropping names, by the way.
Yeah, please.
And I like to do that. Stops me all the time. And he says, that was one of the best memorial services ever. And it really was. But Maddie helped put it together because I was sort of in shock. And even though I knew my husband was very ill and was honestly dying.
Yeah.
You know, when someone dies, it's still a shock. It doesn't matter if you know.
Right.
You know. And he was such a big part of not only my life, but his children's life and so many people's life in the radio world.
I was going to say, I feel like he was in New York. Like, I grew up listening to him on, like, Stern when my dad would drop me to school.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, Howard Stern adored his voice. He was 1010 Wins anchorman for 20 years. He was on WCBS. I mean, he was a New York legend. He kept us together during 9/11. I mean, it was really something. And so people all over the country came to the memorial service, and people still stop me on the street and say, you don't know me, but I was a big fan of your husband's, and I listened to him at Howard Stern or 1010 Wins, whatever it is. And, you know, he was one of the lucky people from his disease of pulmonary fibrosis, because he was diagnosed in 2008.
Right.
But in 2010, we got a life-saving lung transplant. Mm-hmm. And it really did allow him to live another 8 years.
Which is amazing.
And the average is about 5 or 6, but you know, as we all say in our family, you know, well, Ralph, you know, he was going to go, no, I'm going a little further. And he did. And he loved being on the radio. He loved being, and you know, what was great, David, is that even when he was very sick and he really had mobility issues or whatever, he still had that fabulous voice.
Yeah.
The voice never left him.
God bless.
Isn't that beautiful? The voice never left him.
I want to talk about Ralph and the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation, which you're very active with. I'm going to pull up a banner just so people can see it and go on the website and donate.
Oh, thank you so much. This really means a lot to me.
Because I'm sure it's an organization that, like all of the other nonprofits in the world, they're hurting these days and they could use donations.
They really can, yes. Yeah. And that, you know, you can donate right on their website. And, you know, people say, well, I don't really have any money. Well, $10, $25, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a huge donation. When we do our event, Broadway Bells, every year, we make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. You don't have to give. Anything would help us, because we're finding that even en masse, you know, if 1,000 people gave $10,
right?
Yeah. So, and we do so much, not only with the patients, but we also have care centers around the United States that help with the caregivers. Because I can tell you, as a caregiver,
oh, I'm sure
it's a lot of work.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
You're the whole section of the world that you never thought you would ever be a part of or learn about.
I've learned more about lungs than I ever wanted to, and I actually, you know, I'm not necessarily the most maternal person in the world. I don't have my own children. I do have stepchildren, but 3 of them were adults when Ralph and I got married. But I wasn't really that interested in being I was interested in being Julie Halston,
right?
Actress, comedian extraordinaire, married to this handsome, lovely broadcaster. And you never think like, oh, at some point somebody's going to get very ill, even though you make that vow. Let's talk about it, David. We make a vow when we got married, sickness and health, sickness and in health. And you kind of go, yeah, okay. Guess what? It's serious.
Yeah.
It's serious. And this is what I loved, though, about this whole thing and why I continue to work with the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation is that I learned so much about myself. I learned I'm a little stronger than I thought as a human being. And I learned a lot about love. Not that I didn't know I was in love with my husband, but I learned even more. Yeah. And I learned a lot about what people go through and how important it is to be kind and supportive and also to know rich people that will help you.
That's the important part.
Very important.
I love knowing rich people.
Yeah, I love too. People go, oh, I have a fear and loathing of rich people. I'm like, you're an idiot. Rich people are fantastic. They will help you. They will help you. And I'm so grateful for all the people that I have met through this organization. I have to tell you, it's really quite something.
I love seeing that event, the Broadway Bells event, get bigger through the year. Because I was taking photos there that first year when I think it was just at Birdland or something.
It was at Birdland.
And now you've expanded up all the way to the Edison Ballroom.
And filling it.
Yeah.
And filling it. And, one of the things we're going to be discussing next Tuesday is how do we continue to go forward with all this stuff? And one of the things we're also doing is, obviously more virtual events for right now, but we're also finding out, for a long time, people, how people are, David, particularly in show business, they don't like to talk about the fact that they may have a disease or an illness or whatever. People are very private about those things. But what we're finding is that the more awareness is being spread, the more we're finding out the people around the world, some of whom are prominent, are coming out and talking about having the disease. And we're starting to make connections that are really big. I can't really say anything right now, but that really may help us go forward in a really big national way. So we're very excited about that. It's just that right now we have to get through this terrible time. Yeah. I mean, let me ask you, you're doing everything virtually.
We're doing everything virtually.
But wait, what about Felicia? Is she?
She is. My wife works on The View.
Right.
She found out she was Emmy nominated yesterday, so I'm very proud of her as one of the as a talent producer.
Okay.
They are. I don't know if you watch it, but they are all Skyping in from their house. The hosts are Skyping in from their houses. We do everything literally from the couch that I'm sitting on now.
Okay. I haven't seen it since the pandemic. I mean, I have watched it, of course, many times. Yeah. But I haven't seen it since the pandemic.
It's really crazy to think about how all of this stuff can now manage to be achieved through this. Yeah. It's funny. I've tried to like go on Broadway HD or whatever and watch the taped musicals.
Yes.
But I just can't do it.
No.
No offense to them.
No,
they're doing a great service for people, but I just can't.
Well, it was funny. Somebody said to me, what kind of play would you really like to see, on Zoom or whatever?
Right.
And I was like, well, not many,
Yeah.
to be honest. But I thought, what would be the worst? And I thought, Pinter.
Right.
I really don't want to see a Pinter play.
You don't know if the microphones are cutting out or people are just sitting in silence.
Exactly. It's like that Pinter pause actually is a technical glitch.
You know what worked really well, actually? I thought The Confession of Lily Dare, Charles Busch's play, worked really well. His plays seem to work really well this method.
Yes, and The Divine Sister did well too.
Yeah.
For one thing, and Charles and I are very excited, and I'll tell you about what we're going to do next.
Yeah.
Is first of all, he's very funny, and a funny line is a funny line.
Right.
I mean, it's just well written. It's a well-written, funny line. But also because we have known his work, and we do this work so detailed oriented, and also we know these rhythms so well.
Yeah.
It actually, we never had to really rehearse for any super length of time, because believe me, we know these things. Like, I mean, and with Charles and I, because for so long.
Yeah.
I know how he wants it said. I know how I say it. And it's like second nature to us now. So they did work well. I was really pleased with the way they.
Are you working on something with him now, were you saying?
Well, we are. We're very excited, and we hope it all works out. He has written a new screenplay.
Oh, cool.
And it's called The Sixth Reel, and it's a very, very funny screenplay, and it's starring us. And we got the financing already. It's all in place. And we're hoping to go to the Newburgh Studios in October, from October 5th to the end of October, and actually be in quarantine, like with the whole.
That's awesome. Like the NBA at Disney World.
That's exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. LeBron James and Julie Halston. We're all the same. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be doing, and we're very excited about it. And it's really hilarious. I mean, I know his work so well, but for me to still be laughing out loud.
Yeah.
At 2 a.m. with the cats at the screenplay, it's pretty damn impressive. So I'm very excited about it.
I still laugh thinking about every line you had in Tootsie. Every line everybody had in Tootsie, really.
I mean, it was basically the greatest principal ensemble cast I think I'll ever be a part of.
Hysterical. I don't know how you guys got through rehearsals.
Well, I'll tell you how we got through rehearsal. Howling.
Right.
David, we were howling. Robert Horn, and the thing that was so great with Robert Horn's book is that he wrote specifically for us.
Yeah.
And we'd come in, and I'd say something, and the next thing he'd write a line like, like that line about my husband, I only wish my husband could look down from heaven and see me now. But no, the bastard is still alive. I mean, and he would just give me that, it would be a jewel.
Yeah.
And he would just write it, and he'd give it to me, and he'd say, okay, what about saying this line and exiting? And I was just like, and what was so sweet and wonderful is he wrote that line when I was in rehearsal. Mm-hmm. And then my husband passed away, and I came back after 3 days, and he said, if you don't want to say that line, I totally understand. I'll write you another line. I said, are you out of your mind? This line is going to get me exit applause. And Ralph Howard would be furious if he knew that you changed that line. It's the funniest exit line a woman's going to have in the theater this season. Don't you change a word of it.
And it got you exit applause every night.
Every night. Every night in Chicago, every night in New York. Never did we miss.
I've told Sarah Stiles this. My favorite line in that show, but beyond the Riverdance was one guy with 5 children and with a father with 5 children and one bathroom. That still tickles me. There was some line that was cut, and I don't know what it is, but somehow I know it. It's the Robert for Apples line.
Oh,
Bobbing for apples,
yeah.
whatever.
That was Reg Rogers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was when he was describing his childhood.
Yeah.
To Lily Cooper. Yes, my mother made us Robert for apples.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's what. Yeah, and of course the audience kind of got.
No, that line is too. That line is just a little too out there.
It's a little too out there. But we all got, because I think it was Andy Grodelution who gave us bags for a gift. It all said Robert for apples.
So good.
And I still have it in the closet, and I use it.
That theater was way too big for that. Theater was way too big for that show.
It really was. And there's so many things that we could talk about, David, about kind of what went wrong with that whole thing. Too big a theater, sort of strange timing about gender identity.
Yeah.
That became an issue. And I really do understand that now as someone who has trans friends and some family members and whatnot who are really, struggling with gender issues. I get it, but it also was like, I guess for some people, particularly the young, it was too old fashioned.
Yeah.
It was an old fashioned musical.
Yeah. I think they took a bet on, not that I want to hash out why Tipsy closed, but
right.
I think they took a bet on the title being a recognizable property, and I don't know that it is anymore.
No.
It falls in that weird gray area. Like, I knew it because I'm in my 30s and I grew up on the movie.
Right.
But the theater going market, I don't know if it hit with
that. I completely agree. And because I think they thought, oh, well, older people go to the theater. Well, yes.
Yeah.
See, but that's not your entire audience. And guess what? We need to be expanding our audience. And young people are going to go see Jagged Little Pill, but they didn't come to Tootsie.
Right.
In fact, young people don't know who Dustin Hoffman is.
I know. Well, Dustin Hoffman fell out of favor, I guess. And,
he fell out of favor, sexual or whatever.
Right.
And, yes. And they don't know who he is. And why would they?
Right.
The movie was 1982?
Yeah, the movie was 30, 40 years ago.
They were born in 1992.
Right.
Why would they know that movie?
But I have, my feet were stomping. My wife will tell you, my feet were stomping with laughter. It's every line you had, every line everybody had.
How about John Bellman?
I know. Genius.
I didn't know who he was. Of course, the minute I entered the room and saw him, I said, I will get to know this very handsome.
You looked up and you said, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
So that man is 20 feet tall.
And, but to see this very handsome, lovely guy, and then to have him be hilarious. And also, I didn't know Lily Cooper that well. How about that voice?
I know.
I was like, well, I know who your father is.
I was going to say, with your dad, she better have a voice like that.
Yeah. But she does. And she's very interesting because she's young. This is a young woman. I think she's still in her 20s. She has the poise, the gravitas. I mean, she's just really star material.
Yeah.
And she had to learn how to tap for Mac and Mabel, and she did.
I love that show too. That was one of the last shows I saw before everything went down.
Me too. Yeah. In fact, it might have been the last one. It might have been.
At least you guys got to close. You had a proper closing.
Yes.
Got to make your peace with it.
Yeah.
As you could, as opposed to well, that Wednesday night was our last show. See you never.
Beetlejuice. Yeah. Bye. And I walked by the Beetlejuice, marquee now, and I feel like, that was like 1945.
It feels like forever ago.
It feels like yeah. I mean, it's it's after the Second World War. Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like everything was 10 years ago.
As I told my wife, both the cheerleading show and the Tiger King show were this year.
You got it. How about that, Tiger?
That sums everything up.
It really was. But that's why I love doing virtual Halston, because I have to say, I love being with my Broadway cohorts.
Yeah.
I love knowing what they're doing. And I also want to expand it. For example, we're talking to, I don't know if you ever watched the show. It's on HBO. It's called We're Here. It's the drag acts queens who go to the small towns.
Uh-huh.
I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with it. And we're actually trying to get Eureka O'Hara and Bob the Drake, whoever, on the show. And Mo Rocca is going to be on the show July 3rd from CBS This Morning and Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Yeah.
So we're sort of expanding. But I'm fascinated by how very talented creative people, whether they're Broadway or not, just talented, interesting, creative people. What are you doing?
Well, if you need someone far less interesting, I'm happy to be on whenever you.
I was just going to say, you're a very good guest.
Thank you. So are you. I said thank you. So are you.
Well, thank you. But tell me, by the way, you graduated from Hofstra with distinction, as did I, by the way.
Did you?
Yes.
Were you a Hofstra drama person?
I was a drama person, so I majored in performance. But I was a sociology and art history minor, whatever that means. But I do remember a teacher, because I'm much older than you, because I, graduated college in 1800.
Sure. You look great.
Well, thank you, darling. Thank you. It's the lighting. It's all lighting. And I do remember one of the teachers, who is now gone, saying to me, because they did a thing, I don't know if they did it with you, like, now that you're graduating, kind of like sending you off to the world, like what you should be doing next and things like that. What was your degree?
My degree was in journalism.
Journalism. Okay. It was different. Yeah. So I met with this teacher, and she said to me, well, Julie, you're graduating, you're a performance major. I really don't know how you're going to do this, because I just don't see any skills. But you seem to have a personality, and I hope that keeps you in good stead.
And then 30 years later, you sent her the residual check for Sex in the City and said, "Suck it."
Thank you. And here's the wild thing. Of all the people of my classmates, and they really were skilled people, I have to tell you, I'm the one. So what does that say? What does that say? But I'm the one who did it. Yeah. So, but I think that really was because, one, I wanted it more. And two, I have two great things that happened to me in my life. I met Charles Busch, and I just said, that guy, I don't know what he's doing exactly, but I love it. When you love something and you can become obsessed with it, it can help you.
Yeah, just take it.
I mean, look, Seth Rudetsky made a career out of obsession, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he obsessed.
I feel like we all make careers out of our obsessions, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You were a journalist, and you were like, I'm going to do this. Well, you did.
Yeah. I'm a New York City kid that didn't like sports.
And that could have been a disaster, or it could lead to where you are.
Right.
Right. And what's also great is that, you say, well, I'm a wimp, and well, you didn't wimp out exactly, because you did say, well, I'll come if there are some Jewesses there.
The world doesn't know this story, but that's fine.
That's all right. But, and it happened, and you did, and you got married, So anyway, my obsession was I became obsessed with Charles Busch. And then the other great thing I did was marry Ralph. That was the greatest, and I was like, I wasn't even sure I wanted to stay in New York, because it was after the AIDS epidemic, and I lost a lot of friends. In fact, Charles and I were talking about this recently. 3 members of our company died terribly of AIDS. And And it was awful. I was ready to move to LA. I was actually on the verge of getting a development deal. And basically, though, Sam Rudy, the publicist for our company and for Virtual Halston.
You keep pulling out of retirement, by the way.
He's been retired twice. Yeah.
You were single-handedly responsible for retiring that man from moving that man from the Poconos.
Exactly. Me and Paula Vogel.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's great. And he kept saying to me, you need to do some publicity on 1010 Wins. And I've got this guy and he does these entertainment spots on the weekends. And I was like, oh, come on. I don't want to do radio and this and that. And I was doing a Charles Busch play and my one woman show. And he said, no, it's perfect. It's perfect. And everyone kept telling me, yeah, you should do it. You should do it. And I didn't want to do it. I didn't know who Ralph Howard was. He opened the door to that studio. And the first thing I thought of was, I wish I washed my hair. I wish I washed my hair. He's so cute. And I immediately said to Sam after the interview, I said, find out that guy's story. I want to know this guy. And he said, oh, I think he's got a long-term girlfriend. And I know he has kids and he's divorced. And I said, find out.
Yeah.
And this was so sweet. Apparently, he called and said, listen, this is a little awkward, but I have a client who's expressed a little interest, but I think you have a girlfriend, right? And he said, oh, no, we broke up.
Enter Julie Halston.
Well, Sam said, well, I this is so strange. I don't know what to say. And Ralph said, well, if it's Julie Halston, the answer is yes.
Oh.
Woo! That's what you want to hear.
I love that story.
Isn't that fun? Isn't that a great story? And that room, that was it. We met July 13th, 1991. By November of 91, he said, what is it going to take for you to move in with me? And I said, I became very Beyonce. I said, put a ring on it. And he did. You know, sometimes men just need a little push.
I always need the little push. I told you this. I need the push. I know what we're getting to, and I'm dreading it, but it's fine because I don't like attention like that.
I understand.
My wife wants you to read it, though. My wife can't wait to hear it.
All right. Is she here? Is she there?
She's in the bedroom, but I'm sure she'll come out if she hears
me.
Not that lives on YouTube, so she's coming.
Oh, okay. All right.
She won't be on camera, but she says hi. Say hi, hon.
Hello.
Hi, Felicia.
How are you?
I'm fine, sweetheart. How are you?
Good, thanks.
She's really. So to preface this for people, part of your act is that you read wedding announcements from the Times.
Absolutely. I've been doing it for years. And sometimes people from the actual New York Times, I think, sneak things to me, which is nice. I don't know if they get in trouble, but they do.
Sam asked me to send you this one.
Yes. And I'm delighted to read it. Felicia Pollock and David Gordon. Felicia Caitlin Pollock and David Franklin Gordon were married November 16th at the Swan Club in Roslyn, New York. Cantor Guy Bonet.
Yeah.
Mrs. Gordon, 29, is a talent booker in Manhattan at ABC's The View. She graduated from the Eugene Lang College of Liberal Arts at the New School. That's also in Manhattan.
I will say, though, I also graduated with honors, and they left that out.
She wants me to. Did you hear that?
I did. I will put it in right now. Mrs. Gordon graduated with honors.
Thank you.
She is the daughter of Michelle B. Pollock and Bruce Pollock of Brooklyn. Mr. Gordon, who is 31 and works in Manhattan, is the senior features reporter at TheaterMania.com. He is also the president of the Outer Critics Circle, an organization of theater critics and reporters from outside of New York who write for national and digital publications.
My wife is having a ball right now.
He graduated with distinction from Hofstra, also my alma mater, and received a master's degree in theater history and criticism from Brooklyn College. He is the son of Laurie B. Gordon. B is the operative. And Mark C. Gordon of Whitestone, Queens. The couple met in Manhattan in 2015 on the red carpet of the Lucille Lortel Awards, which are presented annually to honor achievement in off-Broadway theater. Ms. Pollock served as the awards publicist while Mr. Gordon was photographing the event. That evening, they bonded over their mutual love of the television series Mad Men and their shared neighborhood of Astoria, Queens. Though several years' worth of text messages and work run-ins followed, the couple did not start dating until the spring of 2017. Congratulations, Felicia and David.
That was a delight.
Well, it's so fun, and I love the wording of everything and whatnot. But the thing that I love about these things is, and I don't know where I got it from, I just started doing it naturally, is I love to sort of send up that kind of society, thing. And of course, you guys are like real people, but there are many of those wedding announcements are just the most pretentious, scary, bat crazy nuts, and I was sent a letter one time where a very, very rich sort of waspy couple sent me a cease and desist.
Really?
Oh, yes. They were very angry.
Hun, ask her what you were saying.
Do you have Instagram?
Julie, are you on Instagram?
I am. I'm actress Julie Halston on Instagram.
Do you follow the Gray Lady on Instagram?
I've heard about this.
Yeah, it's just a parody of all the, waspy blue bloods that appear. It's so funny.
Yes, I have heard about this, but I will now follow it. So thank you.
Our favorite new joke. Do you watch? We've started watching Property Brothers, or I've started watching Property Brothers.
Okay, I don't know it, but I've heard about it.
It's it's the two guys that one's a realtor, one's a construction worker, contractor, and they they show people houses and then they buy them and then they renovate them for the couple. And each episode opens with the couple walking in and introducing themselves, and they've always got crazy jobs and then even crazier budgets for their renovations.
Right.
So our joke is hi, my name is David. I grow thyme and dill and other spices. Hi, my name is Felicia. I'm a poet, and we're looking for a house for $10 million.
Well, this was the thing about the one that I was reading from the Times when I originally started doing this. This couple, they were having their wedding on Squirrel Island. Squirrel Island, and the mother was a watercolorist, and the husband was in search of a doctorate or whatever. Meanwhile, what we really found out is they were living off the grandparents' inheritance money.
Yeah.
Of course you can afford to go to Squirrel Island and have your wedding or whatever. You don't work.
Right.
You don't have a job. It's like your grandfather or great-grandfather started Standard Oil and you've been living off that for, it's just crazy. Come on.
It's crazy. All of these things are crazy.
Yeah, it really is.
It's more reality and daytime television now than I ever have in my life.
Oh, yes.
I'm never home. I'm always, I'm on an actor's schedule. I'm at the theater 1,000 times a week. So I'm never actually home to watch all of these shows.
I know, and it's amazing. And you know what? You say to yourself, like I don't know, Wendy Williams and the reality shows and daytime things, and there's still a few soap operas like Bold or whatever. And you go, wait, is this really happening? Millions of people watch.
Yeah.
Millions of people.
Yeah.
And it's like part of their favorite things. And you go, wait a minute, we're in a prison You know, it's like Love After Lockup or something. I mean,
Right.
are people really, really intrigued with all this stuff? They are.
Yeah. That's a reality show I would watch, Love After Quarantine.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll do it on Virtual Halston. Maybe I'll get some. Maybe that'll be my next. It's like, well, she used to interview Broadway people, but now she's interviewing the cast of Love After Lockup.
Julie, you are the very best.
I've had so much fun talking to you.
You
I
too.
love this, that I was able to do that.
We love it too.
What, honey?
We love it too. We loved it too. My wife was smiling from ear to ear.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for talking about the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation.
Anything I can do. I'm going to do that again.
Can we
If
put
I
that back up again?
Yeah,
Please
if I have a platform, I might as well use it for good.
I
But
so appreciate. You're a mensch.
Yeah.
You're really a mensch. And I so appreciate this. And I appreciate everything that TheaterMania has done for a lot of us, actually.
We try. That's, you know, we do the best. Everybody, we all do the best we can.
That's all we can do,
Yeah.
darling. And I hope to see everyone at Virtual Halston. It's on the Birdland Facebook page, and it's on YouTube.
When is it on? When do you do it live?
Fridays at 5 p.m.
Fridays at, cocktail hour.
Cocktail hour. And I have an adult beverage. And this week, Santino Fontana will be with us.
Is he going to have a baby bottle?
He might. He actually, I think, might have a Manhattan. And his wife may have the baby bottle.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping to get Grace Fontana as a surprise guest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever need someone who's far less interesting, you know where to find Nate.
You're not far less interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Julie, be well. Take care. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you.
Thanks everybody for watching. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.